You can tell the truth, word for word, absolutely true. But when you do it, you use a sarcastic accent. I'm the guy that goes from town to town, fucking and murdering entire families, and leaving conflagrations of ashes that used to be human beings. I'm the most savage and prolific serial killer that ever was.
3, 2, 1, we have a heartbeat.
A beating heart. I'll take it.
Video. Dexter's back for our biannual bloodbath. Yes, that's what biannual means. The word you're thinking of is biennial. While Original Sin certainly stabilized both him and the franchise, Resurrection would be a test of truly breathing new life into the series. And all the stars are here, with the most star-studded cast a Dexter season has ever boasted, with Uma Thurman, Neil Patrick Harris, Kristen Ritter, Eric Stonestreet, David Dastmalchian, and Peter Dinklage making up our menagerie of villains this go-round. And also I recognize someone else from a critically acclaimed HBO series. Is that the helicopter pilot from Succession? What? How is he in here?
Sir, we have clearance from control. If we take off now, we could be shot down by an F-16.
Not just in with the new, but back with the old. Dexter Resurrection is on a crusade to continue earning the series' goodwill, which means not only the still-living Angel, Masuka, and Quinn return, but also the ghostly visages of Arthur Mitchell, Miguel Prado, Brian Moser, and James Stokes, who at time of this recording continues his generational run as a mimetic icon. Clyde Phillips, showrunner of the first 4 original seasons, New Blood, and Original Sin, returns as showrunner, and Scott Buck, showrunner of seasons 6, 7, and 8, is a credited writer. Sorry, I must have read that wrong. I figured Hollywood would have fitted that guy with a leper bell by now. Scott Buck is back? You have to be fucking kidding me! Fair enough. Let's give the guy one more shot. Who says there's no such thing as fourth chances?
I have brought you a peace offering. Let us shake hands like gentlemen. And that is for you.
For me?
Yes.
You do know if this is that I'm gonna decapitate you.
I'll run through the premise quickly so I can continue my thoughts. Dexter survives his shooting at the hands of his son, with Chief Angela taking the fall knowing Dexter wouldn't press charges, which was a pretty bold gamble considering that he wouldn't have to press charges if he died, you just sort of get shafted. Dexter spends 10 weeks in a coma where he goes on various fantasy adventures as a 1950s detective, treasure hunter, and space pirate, then wakes from his coma and decides to pursue Harrison to New York City, where Harrison is currently in hot water after killing a date rapist in a crime of passion and slappily using Dexter's methods to cover up the murder. Dexter plans to shield his son from the shadows by interfering with the investigation, without revealing the fact that he's still alive. All while a Dokes-level suspicious Angel Batista is hot on his trail, trying to prove Dexter is the Bay Harbor Butcher. After killing a serial killer who targets Uber drivers, Dexter discovers an invitation to a yearly gathering of other serial killers, hosted by philanthropic billionaire Leon Prater, who harbors a secret fascination with serial killers and invites them to dinner parties where they can powwow and have show and tell. Posing as his last victim, Dexter joins as the secret society's newest recruit, intending to pick them off one by one. No longer a serial killer hiding among cops, Dex is now a serial killer hiding among serial killers. It's neat.
They're supposed to be your victims.
I'm gonna do it, Dad. I'm just being smart about it.
Smart? Or stalling because you like these people?
If they start disappearing one by one, how's that gonna look for the new guy?
Beyond literally resurrecting the character, or resurrecting the franchise, or bringing back fan-favorite characters as ghosts, which, yes, I am aware are not actually ghosts. That's just my facetious way of referring to the narrative device. You can stop commenting to correct me, assuming I think they are actual ghosts. Dexter Resurrection is about resurrecting old plot concepts that were fun in theory but executed poorly. Angel discovering Dexter's secret, investigating him, and ultimately having a final life-or-death showdown was obviously one of the biggest Dexter community letdowns when New Blood released. Well, now it's one of the primary plot lines, and everything eventually does come to a head. As far as ones that I personally bitched about back in the day, I always lamented the lazy way Dexter Season 8 handled a plotline of Dexter's protege botching a kill and Dexter having to help clean up the crime scene after the fact. In fact, I rated the episode that wasted the premise 3rd worst in the entire series. Well, now we have a more exciting return to the scene of the crime caper with genuinely capable law enforcement to actually realize the idea. Most central to Dexter Resurrection, I liked the concept in Season 5 of Dexter working his way through a team of killers one by one, but felt that the killers were all interchangeable and devoid of personality. Well, now we have a whole carnival of killers. The bloodthirsty and ritualistic tattoo collector, the reserved and self-aggrandizing Gemini killer, the genial, unassuming family man, the Rapunzel killer, and a torturer with a supposed victim code of her own, Lady Vengeance. Although it's revealed that Lady Vengeance's victims all being sex predators was an invention of the press to romanticize her crimes.
The
Those men you killed are innocent.
I mean, define innocent.
The fun aspect that sells the killer carnival concept is how each of these killers has some connection with Dexter, as much as he hates to admit it. He initially gravitates to Lady Vengeance when he feels they share a connection via their codes, even planning on revealing his identity as the Bay Harbor Butcher to her because he thinks they'll relate. Jesus, Dex. Nearly 20 years later, and these black-haired goth bitches still have you acting like Boo Boo the Fool. The Rapunzel killer's stable family life harkens back to Dexter's efforts to learn from the Trinity killer in Season 4, and the Gemini killer turns out to be a pair of killer twin brothers, which makes Dexter reflect on his decision not to join his own brother on a killing spree. And Tattoo Stan uses illegally acquired medical anesthetic for his kills. Okay, I'm reaching with that one. The killer dinner party is certainly a lot of schlocky fun, although I do have to acknowledge that even with those occasional thematic connections, it is still pure schlock. There were moments in the original series where the Ice Truck Killer and the Trinity Killer were like genuinely unnerving presences, but Prater's collection of killers, they're all comically over-the-top cartoon villains.
The moment I laid eyes on it, and what happens next, is inevitable.
Given the positive critical and fan reception of Resurrection, the question is this: is Dexter Resurrection actually this immaculate piece of television that rivals the best seasons of Dexter ever produced? Or are fans riding the high of the series walking back to atrocious finales and throwing in ludicrous amounts of fan service? I'll let you decide, but the answer is the second one. Resurrection has been significantly hyped up by others in my milieu, but I still approached with cautious optimism. At the end of the day, it is a lot of pulpy fun, but the series has a real mean ebb and flow to it. The first few episodes are just more of the same. Typical Dexter boilerplate, aside from the money shot level ghost appearances to rope audiences in. Then the show introduces the Club for Killers plotline, which is just like astronomical levels of bonkers. And it's like, holy shit, this is super silly, but it's also super fun and exciting.
I know it takes one to know one, but this guy's fucking nuts.
Unfortunately, Dexter working his way through the Club of Killers quickly slips into a routine. Pair that with go-nowhere side plots for the side characters bloating the episodes, and the series completely runs out of steam. Then Angel's murdered, Prater traps Dexter in a death trap, and the season goes in for a smooth landing with an exciting finale that leaves a decently satisfying taste in your mouth.
Kill me, and leave Harrison to live with the consequences, just like the man who killed your parents did to you.
Yeah, but unlike Cooper Morris, I can't leave a witness.
Resurrection is certainly tongue-in-cheek, particularly in regards to Ghost Harry being a stating the obvious ass, although maybe some of those meta jokes are entirely in my own head. Put on your tinfoil hats with me, but like that lingering shot of Michael C. Hall as Dexter standing next to a giant glowing neon wig sign, it has to be. It has to be a joke about the flashback wig. And maybe some of these are just me imagining the show wink wink nod nodding at how stupid characters have been in the past. Harrison expresses his concern at Batista's investigation into Dexter, and Dexter's like, we've covered our tracks enough. He'll run into some red tape and lose interest. Sure. The crusading detective who was onto you and has sacrificed their career in the single pursuit of bringing you to justice is just gonna get over it when they run into one obstacle. I mean, fair enough. That is how everything worked out one of the 3 times this has happened before. And just like Original Sin, there is an amusing balancing act in this nostalgia-driven season about what elements of the bad seasons the writers have to acknowledge and what elements of the bad seasons they can quietly sweep under the rug. Like, acknowledging Hannah McKay's existence is right up there with death and taxes. Just has to happen eventually. But there are moments where Dexter notes that this is the first time he's been to an X event since Y happened to him, and they're always lies.
The last time I was at a dinner party was at my wedding.
Dexter, not only is this not the first dinner party you've been to since then, you have quite literally been to a dinner party of serial killers before. Prater has a vast collection of trophies from various serial killers, both real and fictional, with prominent focus on all of the good season arc villains. The brain surgeon is notably absent, and the Doomsday Killer is there, but it's his sword, which is a shame. Because if Prater somehow got his hands on a piece of that mural for his collection, I would have shit myself.
Hello, whore.
The show finally, for the love of God, finally acknowledges that Quinn suspected Dexter was a killer in Season 5. Although oddly, it's acknowledged by Angel, but then when he leaves on his quest to catch Dexter, he doesn't bring Quinn along. He doesn't even tell Quinn where he's going. Probably the smart move. Quinn would probably just find some way to bang someone involved in the case and fuck everything up. And now that I'm getting into nitpicking, the wedding dance floor music needle drops are oversaturated, and their abundance somewhat undercuts the otherwise surprising gag of the phone on Angel's corpse chiming in with a Smash Mouth ringtone. And another nitpick, Dexter once again has a bad case of not trusting the audience syndrome, with frequent flashbacks to the things the characters are obviously thinking about. There's also a scene to establish the dangers of crossing Praetor where his right-hand henchwoman whacks a loose cannon member of their social club for disobeying orders, which I think the series would have been better without. You get an ominous scene where Praetor alludes to why this unlucky killer will no longer be in attendance. And we, the audience, have only just met Praetor. We don't know what he's capable of. We don't know just how easy it is to provoke his wrath. Really sells the character as a threat. But then it's like, oh, we already saw that. The guy broke a very hard and fast rule about demanding cash, and then Thurman beat him to death with a baseball bat. Not exactly the most nightmare-inducing fate we've seen in the Dexter universe. So, armchair screenwriter take, but I'd have cut that scene and let the audience's imagination run wild instead. Especially because Praetor winds up as a not terribly intimidating villain, and needs all the help he can get. Which brings me to the Praetor plot.
The infamous Trinity Killer. Which was actually a misnomer. Did you know that he killed in force?
Episode 4, in which Dexter goes undercover, learns about the Club of Killers and tours Praetor's trophy room, is joyous fun. It's so outlandish, and yet exactly the pulpy fun that the character of Dexter is suited for. Hell, put him in Twisted Metal next season. Why not? And while the first couple of episodes undercover as a different killer among killers are exhilarating, the momentum starts to fall apart. One reason for that is because, while each of the killers should become more and more suspicious as their numbers dwindle, they actually become easier and easier to pick off.
3 people have been killed, and the only ones left are you, me, and a little old lady. One of us is a murderer, and my money's on the old lady. Don't let her looks deceive you, friend.
But the big element that slowly deflates the well-established tension is Praetor. He's just way too gullible. Dexter and Ghost Harry constantly comment on how suspicious it will be when killers start dropping like flies just as a new member joins the group. Except nobody besides Thurman ever becomes suspicious. There's even a scene where Praetor literally lays out everything Dexter has done to Thurman and goes, "You really think he would do all that? Don't be absurd." And at least once an episode, you get one of those scenes where he pulls Dexter aside, says something ominous like he's finally blown Dexter's cover, and then the music cuts and he says something nice instead. "I couldn't help but notice you were 5 minutes late to our meeting." Traffic, am I right? But so glad you could make it. Which, of course, is a classic villain gag when the hero is undercover, but starts to get tired.
Say your prayers, Simpson. Because the schools can't force you like they should.
And speaking of tired, shitty Dexter side plots that go nowhere. How are we still doing these? I was so excited to see Harrison committing a murder and failing to fully cover it up, roping Angel into his world and Dexter back into his world, and actually finally having a genuine relationship with Dexter instead of avoiding each other the whole season like New Blood. Like, yes, you're doing it, Dexter writers. You're making Harrison work as a part of the story. And then in the second half of the season, it's like, never mind. Harrison is going to have a nothing plot where he gets a girlfriend and goes to school for forensic science.
Am I crazy for wanting to do this?
No, it makes sense. A strong moral compass runs in the family.
Citation needed. I was watching the penultimate episode and started to have, a crisis of faith. Dexter and Harrison's new girlfriend standing around talking about college, with most of the Club of Killers dispatched and Praetor just sort of generally hanging around. And I was like, God damn it. None of this college shit is going anywhere, is it? And of course, it wasn't. Fortunately, the ending of the season did reignite the spark, when Angel confronts Praetor with the truth of Dexter's identity. But as the world's foremost serial killer freak, Praetor isn't disturbed by the revelation that Dexter is the Bay Harbor Butcher. In fact, he couldn't be happier.
I know exactly who you are. And I love it!
Despite an offer from Praetor to reimagine the club, with Praetor continuing to invite killers but allowing Dexter to chop them up after the meal, Dexter is unable to follow through with killing Angel as the price of admission. So Praetor kills Angel personally, who spends his dying breath cursing Dexter's name, then seals Dexter in his vault of killer memorabilia, leaving Dexter to starve. This death trap certainly reinvigorates the sense of excitement that Praetor's early appearances imbued the season with, especially since this is the first time in maybe ever that Dexter has been put into a death trap by a villain that had even the slightest bit of difficulty escaping. I guess that Minotaur maze man gave him a good run for his money. With the aid of an undercover Harrison and a blackmailed Thurman, Dexter is able to escape, turn the tables on Praetor, and send him sailing into the New York harbor in several different trash bags. A fun punctuation to an on-again, off-again entertaining season. That definitely puts some color in the show's cheeks again after a few too many detours in the second act started to drain the life out of me. Rest in peace, Batista. heaven gained another angel. So that's Dexter Resurrection. I hope I didn't come down too hard on it, because there were stretches of the season that were a lot of fun, and I know a lot of people are absolutely over the moon about this thing. But hey, I'm like your killer, you're like my praetor. It's fun to have these little Dexter show and tell sessions, where we can both have a bit of bloody fun.
I'm exactly who I need to be. Exactly who you want me to be.